Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here in Kirkfield Park, whose people I have the honor of representing. On behalf of the Manitoba government, I want to honor the sacredness and importance of this land and the ancestors that once walked where we are standing today. The Anishinaabe, the Cree, the Dene, the Dakota, the Métis, the Inuit, and the Anishinaabe nations have all paved the way to what is now known as Manitoba, home to all treaty people. The reason we share this information with you all is that it is a reminder of our treaty histories and the original homelands of these nations, which has become home to all of us here today. I am so honored to join today's announcement as our team has taken on the awesome task of ensuring our communities remain inclusive and safe. Under the previous government's watch, we saw a rise in crime. And now our NDP government is taking action by being tough on crime and tough on the causes of crime. Having worked as a juvenile correctional officer, I am confident that our team will strengthen public safety in every part of our province. So please join me in welcoming our Premier, Kinew, who will share more on our government's plan.
Great. Thanks, Logan. Well, good morning, folks, and thanks so much for joining us for this really important announcement. I also want to thank our team. You met Logan already, Minister Wiebe, and of course our partners in law enforcement and Mayor Gillingham for joining us here today as well. You know, our government has many important sacred trusts invested into us, and keeping Manitobans safe is one of those most important sacred responsibilities that we have. And over the past few years, I think Manitobans rightfully have started to raise the concerns that they have about safety in our communities. And whether it's the business owner in Swan River who is locking their doors during business hours, whether it's the law enforcement officer in the Pembina Valley, or whether it's the residents right here in Winnipeg, we've heard time and time again that we need to take action on bail reform. And today, we're announcing that we're bringing in a stronger bail system here in Manitoba to keep you safe. Time and time again, when folks like the ones we've met over the years talk about bail, the concern is that if somebody does get picked up off the street, often the next day, maybe even later the same day, those same people causing problems in our communities are back at it again. And that causes Manitobans to lose confidence in their government's ability to keep them safe. And so where our team is striking a different approach than you've seen recently in Manitoba is we're not just going to point the finger at another level of government. We're not just going to make excuses. Instead, we're going to take action. And while there are important roles to play for the federal government and our other partners in this project, we know that there are things that we can do at the provincial government level right now to keep you and your family safe. Importantly, one of the things that we are announcing here today are new guidelines for prosecutors in Manitoba. So these are the folks who show up in court to represent you, the people of Manitoba, at bail hearings. And we're going to ask them to start bringing forward what the impacts on community safety will be when somebody applies for bail. Now, this seems like a common sense measure, which should have been in place years ago. But thankfully, we're in a position now to be able to implement it today to ensure that we have a stronger bail system. Of course, we also know that we need to invest in law enforcement because of the important work that they do on the front lines each and every day, keeping people safe right across this great province. And you will know that our message when it comes to public safety is that we're tough on crime, we're also tough on the causes of crime. And so we're also going to be announcing a public safety summit to bring together law enforcement, members of our team, community organizations, as well as experts to discuss what do we need to do to address the root causes of some of the issues that we're seeing in our communities today. So with this comprehensive suite of measures, a 5-point plan that our Attorney General will be unveiling shortly, we believe that we have the important next steps to bring in a stronger bail system here in Manitoba to keep people safe. Now, we know that governments can't do everything overnight, but we know that it's our responsibility to take action right now when it comes to public safety. And so we're here indicating that the work we've done in government to date is now ready to be shared publicly, and we hope that Manitobans will work with us on the next steps to bring about what we all want, which is safer communities right across this great province. So with that in mind, I'll introduce the Attorney General and Minister of Justice for Manitoba, Matt Wiebe.
Thank you very much, Premier. And as you said, Premier, public safety is a foundational building block of a vibrant, healthy, and growing community. And so that's why it's so important that Manitobans feel safe where they are. This is why today we will be rolling out our multifaceted plan on bail to make Manitoba safer. We're announcing today that we are investing more than $3 million for the Winnipeg Police Service to hire 12 new officers with a specific focus on apprehending serious repeat offenders, including those charged with intimate partner violent offenses, because we know that they are knowingly breaching release conditions imposed by courts. We are also creating a new community monitoring and supervision program. This $512,000 investment will allow us to hire 5 new bail workers who will provide intensive supervision and expanded mental health and addiction supports to ensure that people on bail adhere to their conditions. A key part of our bail reform plan will be the collection and sharing of data, a move that comes directly from the recommendations from the National Police Federation on bail reform. We are investing over $500,000 specifically to expand reporting capacity and to share information among police agencies within the province as well as our partners across the country. We are also, as the Premier mentioned, laying out a clear new set of bail policies for our Crown attorneys that will ensure that their obligation to consider the impacts to community and to public confidence in the justice system is considered at every step. The former government let those previous policies on bail lapse in 2019. These new policies will set out our government's clear focus on public safety and our Crown attorney's role in ensuring and maintaining that community safety. And finally, we're announcing a public safety summit for this spring that will bring together community leaders and law enforcement to discuss shared priorities on addressing the root causes of crime. Together, these new investments total over $4 million, 20 new full-time positions, and a suite of new policies that will make our communities safer. The reality is that under Heather Stephenson's watch, crime went up. And we've seen too many stories in recent years of people out on bail committing crimes. In 2022 alone, one of people out on bail committing crimes. In 2022 alone, one it over to our mayor, who will be an important partner in this project, Mayor Scott Gillingham.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Premier. Thank you also, Minister Wiebe. I also want to acknowledge Acting Deputy Chief Dave Delisle and our other Deputy Chiefs who are here, Deputy Chief Standard and Bauer, and other guests who are here as well. I'm so glad to be here today to support this announcement. I want to thank the province of Manitoba, Premier Kinew, Minister Wiebe for this important announcement, ensuring that repeat violent offenders are closely monitored and to follow their bail conditions and are taken off the streets when they breach those conditions is critical to ensuring a safer community. It's also critical to ensuring public confidence. When I hear from the public, like probably many of us do, it gets to a level of frustration sometimes. When I speak to police officers, there's a level of frustration that can happen when the same individuals are repeating the criminal activity and being taken off the street time and again. And so far too often we can see the people accused of committing serious crimes are in violation of their bail conditions. And every time I read a report from the police or read a media story and see reference to repeat offenders not following the court order, I'm like everybody else. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. That's why I'm so pleased to be part of this announcement today and so grateful to the province of Manitoba, Premier Kinew, Minister Wiebe, and the government for the announcement that we're here receiving today. These additional investments will build on the work of the Winnipeg Police Service and the RCMP and the province of Manitoba that are working together to reestablish the joint warrant unit, and giving Crown attorneys more tools to use when considering bail conditions will help make the system work better for the community. Finally, I also want to say that I'm very pleased to hear news today of the safety summit that has been announced. One of the goals this year that I've had as well is the development of a community safety plan for the City of Winnipeg that brings everyone together to address this issue. And it can't just be the police. We need law enforcement, all levels of government, and the various government departments, nonprofits, service providers, businesses, all working together from the same playbook. And by tackling the challenge together, we can make a difference. And that's what this community wants. That's what this community needs. I know that is the focus of Premier Kinew. That's my focus, to be working together to solve the problems to make our city and our community safer. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I would now like to introduce Acting Deputy Chief of Uniform Operations of the Winnipeg Police Service, Dave Delisle.
Good morning. Today's announcement represents a continued commitment to make our community safer through collaboration and partnerships. The investments by the provincial government to aid police are critical in moving the dial on the issue of chronic and repeat offenders. I truly believe that the ongoing relationship and cooperation between the province of Manitoba, and specifically Justice, and the Winnipeg Police Service is a model that should be used as a roadmap for future initiatives. Now, advocacy for amendments to strengthen the bail system in Canada in the form of Bill C-48 was a united effort between police leaders across this country through their association, the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, as well as police association leaders from across the country through the Canadian Police Association and the National Police Federation. It took all levels of government working together, and I'm proud that Bill C-48 came into effect in January of this year. When we all pull in the same direction with a common goal and purpose, we can make a real difference in community safety. Every day, police officers see the impacts firsthand of violent and repeat offenders, the impact they have on victims and the community as a whole. We welcome the opportunity to work with our partners in the criminal justice system to strengthen the bail system and to increase public safety. I believe today's announcement aligns perfectly with the philosophy of Bill C-48.
Thank you, Acting Deputy Chief Delisle. Now I'll pass it over to the Prairie Region Director for the National Police Federation, Bobby Baker.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Premier, for this opportunity, and Minister Wiebe. In July 2023, the National Police Federation held a meeting with all levels of government across Canada to address the serious issue with bail and chronic reoffenders. as he repeatedly put the safety of the public at risk. Since the Bail Reform Act was introduced over 50 years ago, Canadians have voiced their concerns with serious gaps in the bail system, which do not deal with repeat offenders and put the public safety at risk. When a serious crime shakes our communities in Manitoba, it seems one of the first questions asked: why were they out on bail? Were they out on bail? What were their conditions? Was anybody doing anything? Was anybody monitoring that? Were they on bail? A robust community bail monitoring enforcement system is critical to ensuring the effective oversight of offenders on bail and proactively enhances public safety. A poorly functioning bail system actually becomes a deterrent for engagement in the justice system and people reporting crimes. This is particularly true with intimate partner violence. The onus and responsibility should never be on the public or victims of crime. The National Police Federation sees this as a strategic investment that goes beyond ensuring public safety. In fact, this is a step towards the root causes of potential criminal behavior. Bail needs to be effective, accountable, appropriate, and actively monitored for the public to feel safe and have confidence in it. The police and stakeholders in our justice system need the tools and support to make bail work. What we see here today is our government putting the safety of Manitobans first. The NPF, the National Police Federation, applauds the Premier and Minister in listening to the public, the police, and justice stakeholders with a robust 5-point plan. It is clear today this government has taken a lead role in investing in this critical area of public safety. And as the Federation for Canada's National Police Force, we call on the federal government as well as provincial and territorial governments to follow Manitoba's lead on public safety and root causes of crime with concrete solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Your reflections are very appreciated. I'd now like to open the floor for questions.
So, I don't know if this is for the Justice Minister, but is the expectation here with the policy change that prosecutors will more often now oppose bail for certain things, I guess, because consider the impact on the victim and the community? Is that, have I got that right?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's important to note that there have been no bail policies since 2019. Federal changes meant that we needed to amend and change our bail policies here in Manitoba. That wasn't done under the previous government. A straightforward step that could have strengthened bail and reinforced the importance of Crown attorneys in the bail process. What we're talking about here are bail policies that specifically focus on the impact to community safety. If someone was to be released, what kind of impact is that going to have on the broader community, not just for the individual, for the broader community, for victims? And likewise, what kind of impact will their release have on public confidence in the justice system, trust and faith that our justice system is dealing with those repeat offenders to ensure that they don't have an impact in the community? Our Crown attorneys are doing this good work already. These policies simply put a fine point on our government's focus on the impacts across community and ensuring that they focus or refocus on those broader impacts.
So as it stands right now, how are Crown attorneys assessing bail? Are you saying that they're only considering the impact? Yeah, who are they, what impact are they considering right now?
Our Crown attorneys are doing a stellar job in ensuring our communities are safe. What this policy change or this suite of policies that will be shared with our Crown attorneys does is simply reiterate and refocus those points within the considerations that our Crown attorneys are using to assess the application for bail, and gives them a further onus to consider all impacts to the community. Now, as the Premier mentioned, in a small community, that might be, expressed by the public, might be expressed by law enforcement. Here in the city of Winnipeg, I know that the Winnipeg Police Service does a great job of identifying those people who are repeat offenders that need that further consideration when going through the bail process. So this is simply acknowledging the work that our Crown attorneys are doing, but putting a further point that our government considers the broader impact to public safety as being an important factor that needs to be addressed when bail is being applied for.
Will the Crown attorneys get more resources to help them with this? Before that they're strapped for
Yeah.
resources and staff. This sounds like it might be more work, or it could be more force.
Well, again, we're very proud of our relation, the reset of the relationship with our Crown attorneys. We just recently were very proud to have settled the contract, the outstanding contract that was outstanding with Crown attorneys. We've met with them. We've acknowledged publicly the increased workload and the stresses of the workplace, something that the previous government would not do, that we are proud to have done and to acknowledge. So it's absolutely true that our Crown attorneys are doing amazing work right now and need to be continued to be supported as we move forward.
Support workers and, other experts repeatedly say that Indigenous people are overrepresented in these systems because of the many psychological, socioeconomic reasons that lead them to get there in the first place, and then also breach these systems, right, and breach this bail condition. I'm hoping both you and the Premier can sort of acknowledge whether this is going to improve that or whether this is going to cause harsher penalties for Indigenous people who are already overrepresented in these.
The comprehensive bail monitoring program that we're talking about here will specifically look at why somebody has been in breach or continues to be in breach of a bail order. It implements or brings together other resources, considers other factors such as addictions or mental health issues, gives the officer as a case manager, gives them a bigger suite of tools to work with to ensure that when bail conditions are put in place that they are being adhered to. So this isn't simply just a monitor in the sense of keeping track of somebody, but it's really finding out what resources are needed to ensure that bail is being adhered to and that there is no breach.
What does success mean under this new plan?
It's an important question. We have, as part of this rollout, we're bolstering our intelligence gathering and data gathering and sharing. It's an important aspect. I know that the Winnipeg Police, and I let them speak for themselves, but they do a great job already of collecting some of this data. What we're doing on the provincial level here is to bring together that information, those resources, and then to share that amongst police and law enforcement across the province. It will be important that we, monitor what's working, continue to invest in those areas that we're seeing some successes, and that's why we're announcing this as our plan, as a first step, an important first step, but one of many that we'll continue to talk about in the coming years.
This is also, you've acknowledged a lot of frustrations that the community has. I mean, you've also voiced it, the mayor has said it today. There's a lot of frustration in the community, but among those frustrations also is frustration with the police. So how can they be trusted to do this at this point? Are they trained enough to take this on? Are they getting the resources to get trained enough to take this on with these 12 officers and other officers that might get these duties?
Yeah, I mean, again, I won't speak for the Winnipeg Police Service, but I guess what I would say at the provincial levels, we've set out a clear mandate for these workers. We understand the kind of challenges that folks have in adhering to their bail, and we want to make sure that communities are safe. So that is the number one goal. We've made it clear with the Winnipeg Police Service our expectations and our understanding of how we can move forward on this important project, and we have faith that those officers understand the dynamic. It's about about addressing the causes of crime, the root causes of crime in our province as much as it is in ensuring that our communities are safe.
Do you have anything to add on that, Mr. Wall?
So what I'll say is we're doing a version of this within our downtown safety strategy. If you read our business plan, there's a group of folks we call downtown priority offenders. They're folks that are causing significant community impact in the downtown, and we focus on not only dealing with those folks on a daily basis to find out what are they doing, what services do they continue to need on a daily basis to avoid them breaching their bail conditions when they're out on bail. But on top of that, when we do have to arrest them, we're able to put a full package together so the Crowns understand the full impact of what that one person has done. So it might not just be smashing a business window of a single business. The Crowns will have a full picture because the officers have the time to focus on the full background of the priority offender and say, this person smashed 46 windows this last month, right? And so it provides the Crown more information on the front end to save them some work. So by having police do more work on the front end, not only to focus with priority offenders to ensure that they don't breach bail conditions when we come across them and help them connect with services, but also put together a full and robust package when they do have to go in front of the Crown. We're already doing that.
I'm asking about the lack of trust in the community at this point with Winnipeg police. Like survey after surveys have told us this is an issue. I mean, it's something that is being seen in other cities. I'm a reporter for the Globe, so that means we look at other cities as well across, right? And in other cities, we've seen this, that there is a public lack of trust with police at this point. So some of the frustrations that are being talked about today do include that as well. How can the police officers that are going to be tasked with this be trusted by the community? Because they're going to be building of that now.
Well, trust and confidence in policing is something that's a national issue, like you say, and we're working on ensuring community trust through every interaction every day. It involves transparency, it involves us releasing information, it involves standing here and talking about what we're doing. I can't change the level of trust in community by my words alone. It's what our officers are doing every single day through positive interactions, and I'm seeing it every day. Our officers are doing amazing work out there.
Mr. Weed, is there any increase into in terms of technology for monitoring? Because we just starting to talk about monitoring enhancements.
Yeah.
There's not a peak. Is there any need here to have the technology enhanced for monitoring that can be more effective than hoping one of the limited number of officers can cover?
Appreciate you doing your homework. That's great. And it is important to note that it was Heather Stephenson as Justice Minister who canceled the electronic monitoring program in this province. We know that this is a process that's ongoing, an RFP as you mentioned, and we'll have a lot more to say about that hopefully soon.
So you're not really to follow through on that?
Yeah, so it is important, and again, this builds off of the recommendations from the National Police Federation that we consider all tools and technologies. Doing it in a smart way, doing it in a way that that incorporates the data and the good data on this, and uses it in a targeted way. So I don't want to say too much. We'll keep you posted.
Sorry,
Can you please tell me more, what are you expecting to get out of the safety summit? What do you want to come out of that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to speak to that and maybe just offer a few additional comments on some of the previous questions that are asked. Our government has trust in law enforcement. These are folks who put their lives on the line each and every day to keep us safe. And I've personally been very disturbed by some of what we've been seeing in our province over the recent past. And when we have situations like some of these very, very difficult events, it has to be law enforcement to respond. You can't send a social worker into some of these situations. And so we're going to work with law enforcement, and we're going to work with the Crowns to ensure that the perspectives of the community are taken into account when somebody applies for bail. Often, Manitobans hear that, think about this individual's personal history. And I think rightfully, Manitobans ask, well, what about our community's history? And what we're going through right now, whether it's shoplifting or property crime or more violent incidents. And so I think what we're bringing forward here is a more holistic view. However, we also know that the justice system is going to continue to evolve in the future. And that's why we're calling this Public Safety Summit. Because we want to have the engagement with the community voices who are going to say, what are you doing for recreation? What are you doing for education? What are you doing to ensure that a hungry kid has a meal provided for them in a positive setting like this one, instead of getting some of the negative temptations put in their path? And I do expect that some of the activist voices are going to show up at the Public Safety Summit, and they have their role too, to push us in a certain direction, all towards the greater good of justice for the society as a whole. And so the Public Safety Summit, I do think, is really, really important part of the overall comprehensive approach here, because that's going to be a forum. And I think all of us up here are very ready to engage in the conversations with all of these voices, even when those are uncomfortable conversations, because Manitobans expect that from us. Manitobans are having difficult conversations at the coffee shops and at the dinner table about safety in our communities right now. And sometimes it's the really challenging things that I'm talking about that are on the newspaper and the evening news and radio every day, but sometimes it's just getting your garage broken into, getting a lawnmower or a chainsaw stolen out of the garage. And all of these things are symptomatic of the underlying question of safety in our community. And so we're responding with resources for the law enforcement who are on the front lines. We're strengthening the bail system as it's administered in court. And we're already making investments towards addressing root causes, like bringing in a universal nutrition program in the K-12 schools in our province. But we recognize that there needs to be a forum for voices to come together and start to negotiate and articulate what the future is going to be for our province that includes all of the perspectives: government, law enforcement, not-for-profits, business, community, just the average everyday citizen of our province. And so that's the role of the Public Safety Summit, in my opinion.
Maybe in French, can you please tell me why do you think this time, this whole news that's bring today is going to bring a change compared to what has been done before? Why do you think that this time something very different?
Ben, il n'y avait aucun politique depuis 2019 dans ce sujet. Alors, c'est important d'avoir la clarité dans le système de justice. Mais en même temps, il y a un grand besoin tout partout dans la province du Manitoba d'améliorer la situation avec la crime. Et puis, en même temps, il y a des enjeux sociaux qu'on doit engager avec en même temps. Alors oui, nous serons là pour adresser la criminalité dans la province, mais en même temps, nous serons là aussi pour investir dans les réseaux et ressources que les communautés ont besoin pour améliorer leur quartier, leur communauté, leur ville.
Sorry, I don't mean that, I still, the policy change for prosecutors.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see, I've covered court for years, and I can prosecute, I mean, they can impose bail, they can agree with the bail. How will this change what's happening now? Is the expectation that maybe they'll impose more bails where there's people getting out, shouldn't be getting out? I'm just trying to see how this changes, because it's a guideline of policy. And then there's a lot of precedent in court cases and other things that prosecutors have to follow in court. So how will this maybe prevent somebody from getting out that the larger community should not be out?
It's going to standardize and it's going to strengthen. Right now, because there's no policy in place here at the provincial level, it's up to the individual crown. Now we're bringing in a standardized approach, and we're saying you have to include in the presentation and in your thinking about the bail process the impact on community safety. And one of the ready areas that the crowns are going to be able to turn to is law enforcement, because law enforcement has those tools, they have the institutional knowledge, they're literally walking the beat. to be able to say, well, here's what we've been dealing with in this area, or here's what this individual has been up to in the recent past. And so that's why off the top I was talking about communities like Swan River, Pembina Valley, right here in Winnipeg, because again, we have to think about community safety in a holistic sense. And if it's our partners in law enforcement, if it's other voices from the community who can flag the issues that are being lived by the average everyday Manitoban, now these new bail policies are going to provide that a venue to be heard in court. And so those questions that you're asking about should this person have been out on bail, now we're going to have a much stronger bail system where those questions should be entertained with an overall view to improving safety in our communities.
I know you're announcing this today, right? A few weeks ago, earlier this month, obviously we heard the very horrifying tragedy in Carmen, Manitoba, where Ryan Howard was charged with the first-degree murders of 5 people. In that court case recently, the Crown did in fact oppose bail. Were they told that this was something that they were going to have to do based on today's announcement? Can you give any insight on that?
I cannot comment on individual cases before the courts. In a general level, I would say there is a stark line between what we do in the political level and what happens in the administration of justice. We never interfere with individual prosecutors. But what we're saying with the announcement today, again in a general context, is that there are tools at the provincial level that the government can use to take action to keep our communities safer. And that's what we're doing. There's plenty of finger pointing and blame game that's happened in the past, but now we're taking action. And the action that we're going to take is to establish the guidelines for Crown prosecutors to ensure that they think about the overall impact on community safety when bail is applied for. And so this is a way for us to set a policy at the government level that still respects the necessary separation between the executive level of government and the administration of justice in our society.
You talk about the importance of sharing
Zoom?
information in rural crime, and is there any money for expanding rural broadband to help with information sharing and connectivity
Well, it's a good question because this is one of the recommendations of the National Police Federation to improve connectivity and improve electronic means of monitoring bail. And I'll just say that Minister Wiebe has my full support when he says that please recognize that this is a first step and we will have other steps to announce in the future.
Mr. Rees, on rural crime, the previous government had raised concerns with the federal government for a shortage of RCP officers.
Yeah.
We actually restored the Manitoba actually at one time. I don't think still at the highest vacancy rates in the country. Do you have concerns about shortage of RCP officers? Do we need more in rural Manitoba?
I've taken the opportunity over the first few months since being appointed in this position to meet with over a dozen rural municipalities with northern communities. It's a message that we've heard loud and clear time and time again. I've also taken the opportunity to make representations to our local RCMP, D Division, as well as at the national level, to bring forward our voice to the table that, yes, recruitment and retention, specifically in northern communities and specifically in northern Manitoba communities, is a concern. And we are continuing to have that dialogue. I will continue to carry that message to Ottawa, to my federal counterparts, that Manitoba needs its fair share of officers, and we need them now.
We're soon room for one question, so we can say it.
Sir? We're going to Zoom.
Thank you. Yes, one reporter on the call from Radio Canada. Victor, one question, one follow-up.
Allô, bonjour. Une question pour Monsieur Kinew en français. On sait que le Manitoba, donc la province, a des pouvoirs limités en termes de justice et de libération conditionnelle. Qu'est-ce que vous attendez de plus qui pourrait être apporté lors du sommet de la sécurité? Est-ce que vous pensez que vous pourrez apporter quelque chose de plus que ce qui est annoncé déjà aujourd'hui?
Oui, il y aura des prochaines étapes. Puis, nous sommes ici pour annoncer des politiques plus fortes et puis un investissement dans les polices ici dans le Manitoba, puis aussi le système de justice. Mais les prochaines étapes seront de s'assurer que les différentes villes, les différentes communautés tout partout dans notre province auront les outils pour lutter contre le crime et aussi pour améliorer la situation dans leur quartier et puis dans leur communauté.
Et pourquoi faire ces annonces aujourd'hui, avant le sommet, donc avant de faire cette rencontre avec tous les différents acteurs du monde judiciaire au printemps prochain?
Est-ce que tu pourrais répéter la question?
Pourquoi est-ce que les annonces sont faites aujourd'hui, avant le sommet, donc avant cette grande rencontre avec tous les acteurs de la justice?
Pourquoi vous faites la rencontre aujourd'hui?
Ouais.
Avant la rencontre avec le Summit Safety, what do you do before that?
Oh! Parce qu'on doit publier et partager l'information au sujet de notre politique et puis notre plan pour ce que les voix de la communauté pourraient s'engager avec ces enjeux dans un mode efficace et aussi dans une façon très forte. Good for Zoom?
Okay.
Yeah.
Merci beaucoup. We're done on Zoom.
Okay, merci.
On a different note, Premier, will your government sign on to the federal pharmacare program?
We're looking forward to seeing all the details of this. We are, of course, always looking to work collaboratively with other levels of government to ensure that we have strong health care here in Manitoba that meets the needs of everyone. And so we're going to do that. And if the federal government is going to come to the table with resources and support, then we'll work with them in a constructive way to benefit you, the people of Manitoba.
But you're inclined to go in that direction, like, getting the finer details out of the way. Are you inclined to, agree to this support?
Well, we're moving ahead with fixing healthcare in Manitoba and providing Manitobans with the healthcare and medications that they need to lead a healthy life. And so if the federal government is going to come to the table with resources and investments to help that, then we'll happily work with them, because at the end of the day, we were elected to work for you. And so let's work together and do some good things for the people of Manitoba.
12 officers in this announcement today, are those on top of the ones that have been announced for them temporarily?
Yeah.
New as in budget 2024, like a brand?
Yeah, do you want to talk about timing and stuff like that? Pretty much just yes. Yeah. Good. Take yes for an answer kind of thing?
And I guess when could, I don't know when your next recruitment class is, but when could we see 12 new officers on the street? Or when with this plan?
It's very, very dependent on retirements, et cetera, right? So we have two recruit classes of 48 officers going through this year already. Some are about to hit the street in June, another class in June coming out, graduating, I believe, in February. So there's extra capacity that's added within those classes, and then the capacity will be demonstrative in terms of how many retirements we have, so how many we can actually use for these new initiatives.
And the ones announced in the last year, the previous government, are they still part of the
So 12 are in this current recruit class. There was 12 projected in the next recruit class. So, yeah.
Mayor Gillingham, on